Hi, this is Josh with Retro TV One Tech, and today we're going to unbox these 30 to 35-year-old 5 1/4 inch floppy disks, see if they still work, get them formatted, and then add some games to them and have a little bit of fun with some MS-DOS games on my Tandy 1000 here. We hope you enjoy the video, so let's get started. First, let's talk about these disks and what they are really quick. You can see they're Tandy disks, which is super exciting because I'm going to use them on the Tandy computer, and I remember having disks like these when I was a kid. You can see they were $15.95 at some point. Maybe we'll see inside. There's no copyright date on these, so I'm assuming these were made in the late 80s or early 90s, so that's why I'm saying 30 to 35 years old. You can also see they're single-sided, which means they were probably made to be used on one of the Coco computer disk drives, or maybe even a TRS-80 of some kind besides the Coco. Not really sure, but I think they'll still work on my Tandy 1000, and I think I'll be able to format them double-sided, so we'll see. Worst case scenario will be single-sided and they'll be really small space, but I love the sound these disks make when they're read. And this is the old Tandy kind of logo here with the for all their software, with the keys kind of sticking up there like keyboard keys in alternating rows, which is fun. So other than that, there's not really much on the box. You've got a catalog number. All Tandy products had these types of catalog numbers. And on the back, it says Fort Worth, Texas, custom manufactured in the USA for Radio Shack, a division of Tandy Corporation. Interestingly enough, Radio Shack was a division of Tandy. So there's a whole story behind that, and we won't go into that. But yeah, so that's basically all that's on the box. Now, of course, not too long after these 5 1/4 inch discs were popular, they're the original actual floppy disks, as they are actually flexible. These came along. These are the 3.5 inch discs that succeeded them. I even have this one already out of the box. Got a Tandy MS-DOS 3.31 boot disk, just in case my hard drive ever goes bad or I can't boot the Tandy over there that I just showed you. But who remembers labeling their floppy disks? It's a lot of fun. Who also remembers doing this, right? And of course, you're not supposed to touch the disc there, but on these they were actually protected, whereas I'll show you on the 5 1/4 they're not protected and you just have to be careful. So anyway, these were 720K and they were considered double density discs, whereas what succeeded them was actually a high density disc, which is 1.44 meg, and you can see the HD logo there. It's upside down, but HD for high density. I always used to think it was CH, but you know. Also, you can see that the hole is punched through on the left-hand side, and then you've got the Write Protect on the right. On this disc, you only have the Write Protect on this side, and then this is actually just indented. I believe you could punch a hole in that somehow if you wanted to format it in the higher density, but I'm not exactly sure if that worked well or not. So these are the double density 720. These are the high density 1.44 megabyte. And keep in mind, most pictures you take on your phone today would be too much for this one disk. If I take a picture on my iPhone, it's like 2 or 3 megabytes. So that'd be like 2 of these floppies for one picture. So that's pretty incredible. In fact, this is 4K video I'm rendering right now. And, you know, I don't know, probably like not even, you know, a tenth of a second would fit on this disk. So pretty crazy now the amount of storage we need lately. So here we go, the moment of truth. These things have been sealed for over 30 years, and we are going to unbox them for the first and last time, because you only unbox something once. And we're going to break the shrink wrap and see what's inside here. It'll be just like 1989 all over again. So super excited. There we go. I've already punctured the seal. So for the first time. I don't know. I wonder if there's like new floppy disk smell inside here. Try not to rip the packaging here, and sorry about the focus there. But yeah, so. Alright, I decided to get a pair of scissors just so I could hopefully save the shrink wrap. I know it's probably kind of silly, but just to save the shrink wrap so that I can keep that awesome Radio Shack price tag on there. There we go. Alright, so I think I've successfully saved that. And we'll get this cut over here. There we go. Alright, so they are already unsealed. Let's get them unboxed. See what's in here. See what kind of packaging is in here. I mean, I'm sure we had these when I was a kid, but I don't remember what would have been inside. Wow, so there we go. First time. That's pretty incredible. Look at that. Those things have not seen the light of day in over 30 years. Kind of crazy. Okay, so just if anybody was curious, I did a quick smell test, and it really doesn't have any kind of an odor to it at all. You can kind of smell the plastic on the discs, and that's it. So the 720Ks I unboxed a few months ago actually did have a kind of an odor to them. So, oh wow, look at that. they've got these really nice sleeves. Now, you may not remember, you may remember that these 5 1/4 inch floppies always had these nice sleeves with them because, of course, if you pull this out, you'll see that the reading portion, or the read and write portion of the disk right there, that long kind of oval shape there on the bottom, is actually completely exposed, and as well as this mechanism here where it spins the disk. So anyway, you have to keep them in here to protect from dust or fingerprints or even demagnetization. Now, to be clear, this probably wouldn't protect much from demagnetization, but definitely from fingerprints and dust. So yeah, so there you go. There are 10 discs in here. They all look the same. Let's see what the back looks like. Oh wow, there you go. And in several different languages, it says protect, and it tells you not to bend it. It tells you insert carefully, never touch that part, and then the temperature ranges that it would need to be kept in. 10 to 52 Celsius, which is 50 to 125 degrees Fahrenheit. So they don't want you to get them too cold or too hot, and never expose them to magnetics, like a magnet, because obviously they work with magnets. So there you go. All right, so the only other thing in the package are these labels. So these labels, obviously this would go on the right-hand side of the disc right here, and then these actually are the Write Protect stickers. So you could use anything to do this if you wanted, but the Write Protect was actually opposite, as it would be on a 720K floppy or a 1.44 meg floppy. To Write Protect the disk, you'd actually need to put a sticker or even a piece of tape right here. And there's a little notch inside the drive, or a little button, that if it doesn't go down, then you can't write or delete things from the disk or even format it. Whereas if the button does go down, the little notch is able to dip inside there, then it will allow you to write, format, and modify files. So if you have really important data and you don't want anybody overwriting it, you put that little sticker or even a piece of tape over it. The sticker was probably a little bit stronger, but there wasn't anything particularly special about these. They are a nice shiny gray that matches really nicely with the disc itself and the sleeve. But other than that, nothing really special. Now the problem is, of course, to remove the write protection, you just remove this, which is pretty easy. And again, looking over on one of these high density or even single density discs here, double density I should say, to write protect it, you actually do the opposite. You open the hole, whereas on the other one you close. So that's kind of interesting. But these were pretty easy. You just slide the little plastic piece there until it kind of snaps into place. Now this disc is able to be written to again. And just in case you're curious, here's the inside of the box. Nothing else in there, but again, pretty crazy to think that hasn't seen the light of day for over 30 years. So, all right, let's get the computer fired up and try these out. I always enjoy firing up this machine. Okay, the monitor spin up there, and here goes the computer. And I've done several videos on this Tandy, but if you missed any of them, I upgraded it to 768K, added a sound blaster, made the sound blaster work with the Tandy sound, and all kinds of stuff. Added games, added compact flash. So really a lot that I've done to this Tandy, and it's been a lot of fun. Let me go ahead and pull the brightness down so you can see what's going on here a little bit. There we go. It's crazy how fast these machines boot. We're already in Decimate, which is Tandy's graphical user interface. This was a precursor to Windows, of course made by Tandy and not by Microsoft, but really nice little system. And I'll do another more in-depth video on this Deskmate soon. But you can go to the very first video on the channel if you want a little tour of it. But for now, we're going to exit to DOS. Alright, so I'm going to take one of these out of here. And of course, again, we got to be careful not to bend it or anything. The actual disc is inside here, and I've seen videos on YouTube where somebody takes one of these apart that maybe is already not working and just shows the inner plastic piece. But for right now, we can't touch it, and we got to make sure we don't bend it. But we just put it right here in the drive. And then for these kind of discs, you actually have to close this lever to engage the read and write heads. Whereas on the 720K floppy disk, which actually isn't floppy because it's just completely rigid, you put it in there and you can see the blue button pops out. So it does that kind of on its own, and then to release it, of course, you just push the blue button and it pops it right back out of there. To release this, you actually just turn that knob back to the side and then pull out the disk. But for now, we're going to re-engage that, and on this computer, that drive is drive B. Alright, so we're going to call up drive B, and you should see the drive light there turn on. There you go. Now, hopefully it will allow us to access this. It may not access it right away. General failure error. Okay, so I may have to format it first. So let's abort. Alright. Oh, I may have to fail actually, because it still won't even go back to that drive. Yeah, reading disks in Windows or in DOS could be a little bit tricky sometimes. So we're going to go back to drive C, and we're going to try just format B, and let's just see what happens. Now, these disks may not be good. I mean, they've been sitting in there for 30 years, but let's keep our fingers crossed and see what happens. Insert new diskette for drive B and strike enter when ready. Let's try it. All right, so now if it's working, it is working. Good. I was going to say we should see the head count go up and the cylinder count go up. And we should see it go to 40 tracks or 40 cylinders, I believe. So we'll see how that works out. I may have my math wrong there a little bit, but it seems to be working. So you can kind of think of it as laying down like record player-like grooves inside of or on the surface of the disc itself. Now, when I say record player-like, I mean magnetic and not physical grooves like a record, but that's basically what it's doing. It's getting the disc ready to write data to. And actually, physical hard disks or spinning hard disks still need to be formatted. Usually they come pre-formatted by the manufacturer now, but when it gets to 40, let's see what happens. It'd be interesting to see if it's doing both sides as well. Let's see how much data is there. Oh, yeah, so it did. It formatted both sides of the disk. Because it was just one side, since these said they were single-sided, it was just one side, then it would be only 180K. But because it's actually formatting both sides, we get double the capacity at 360K. So you got 362,496 bytes. And as you can see here on this disk, it says single-sided. So single-sided should be only 180K, but luckily we got both sides to work. And these are double-sided drives in all these MS-DOS machines past a certain time. I think the original IBMs had single-sided drives only, but these are double-sided, and so we get double the density and double the reading, so you can read both sides at the same time. Whereas older systems, you'd have to read one side, take it out, and flip it over, literally just like a record. So we're going to say no, we don't want to format another one, and we should now be able to go to drive B. Alright, so let's go to drive B. Now we can go straight to drive B and no problem, so that's cool, okay? So we're going to do our directory, and of course it should say there's nothing there. Perfect. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to make this bootable. So I think if I put sys B, let's just copy the system to it just for fun so we have another bootable disk here for this computer. So this sys B command will transfer the actual MS-DOS system to that disk, and it makes it able to boot the computer. So let's see if that works. Oh, weird. Maybe I need to go back to drive C to do that. Let's go sys B and let's just see what happens. Okay, there we go. Yeah, for some reason, maybe you can't do that from the disk itself. Looks like it did. Okay, so now there should be something on that disk. Okay, good. So what's happening is it looks like there's nothing there. I think if we type a trib, it should show. Nope. Okay. Well, anyway, I think there's a parameter I have to use to make that happen. So let's copy some games and stuff to this disk and try it out. All right, so we're going to copy one of my favorite games that I used to play on these 5 1/4 inch discs called Castle Adventure. So it's here on my hard drive, and actually you can see it's got a save game named Liam on it here. So we're just going to copy star.star, which means everything in this directory. Copy star.star to drive B. So let's see if it'll copy over. Love that floppy disk noise there. Isn't that awesome? It's like almost ASMR. So let's go back to B, and now we should see that there are files on the disk. Ah, there we go. All right, so you can see there's not a lot of space. We've already taken up half the disk. We've gone from 360 back down to 180 there. So that's fun. But either way, it actually did work. So now let's see if we can run the game from this disk. It's a text-based game. Really cool. It's actually written in BASIC, believe it or not, and transferred over to MS-DOS. But let's see if it'll run. We'll show a wide-angle view while it's loading, just so you can see the loading light on the disk. There it goes. Awesome. Love that PC speaker music. Now it's loading the files. And there we are. Alright, so let's play a little bit. And this is made for systems with really limited memory, some of the original IBM PCs. I've also got the speed too fast right now. I need to actually take the speed down on this computer. I can actually type in mode slow and basically cut the processor speed almost in half. But this game is only written for a 4.77 megahertz computer. And this is an 8 megahertz computer, so we cut it almost in half. But you can think about it now, a lot of computers are 3 or 4 or even 5 gigahertz, which is literally 1,000 times as fast as what they were expecting for this game. So I got the sword. So, and if I go over here and fight the snake's probably going to get me. You'll be able to see he's too fast. Yep. Let's see if I can get him. Okay. So I just have to keep pushing the cursor until the snake dies and it says I've killed the snake. But I can't do that very many times. And you notice now the disk is accessing because it's running out of memory on the computer. And so it needs to re-access the disk just to load more of the game into it. But you can see there's like, once you go into these little U's, those are staircases. You can see a description of all the rooms there. It's just a lot of fun to play. And it makes you use your imagination too. So you'll notice when I go up the stairs here, the floppy drive light will come back on because it'll need to load the upper level. So that's pretty interesting. It doesn't take very long, but it definitely has to load it. So if we go back, let's see. And we can go a little ways around here, but eventually, that demon is definitely going to kill us. He's too fast. But if we go around here, you'll see that it starts to load more. It didn't take very long. But if I actually exit out of this, if I type in quit, and I go back to the computer, let's go back to the, now let's go through the one on the hard drive, and I'll go ahead and disengage the disk and pull it out slightly so you can tell that I'm not using that. But either way, so I'll type this in and I'll load it from the hard drive. You'll notice it'll be quite a bit faster. So you can see the loading's almost instantaneous. So now you'll see that when I go from one thing to the next, it just loads it off the hard drive and there's basically no delay at all. So everything just renders almost immediately. So there's a little bit of a loading delay, but not bad. Even coming down here, I mean, it's just, hard drives are just that much faster than, than a floppy disk. But I think for old time's sake, it's so much fun to play it off the floppy because that's the way I played this game originally on an old IBM PC or a Zenith that Dad had that he brought home from work. And of course he had a disc of games on it. So either way, so much fun playing this in any way, shape, or form. But let me show you what I mean by making it slower. Alright, so if I put my disk back in the drive, I'm going to go back to drive B. Actually, before I do, I'm going to type in mode slow. So the computer's going to go into a slow mode. Okay, CPU now set to slow. That's easy, right? So now we're going to go back to the B drive. Now it's going to load even slower, probably. And so, but now the game will actually be playable. And you hear that wonderful floppy loading noise. There we go. Alright, so now let's try it and see what happens. So I think part of the charm of these old systems is that they, now, as a kind of a retro game and retro computer enthusiast for me, is that they are kind of slow. And you remember that you had to be patient. And it was so cool to just be able to play these games at all. And again, use your imagination. You're in the East Ballroom. There are archways to the north and west and a spiral staircase in one corner. So this is a spiral staircase, so you can imagine what this room might have looked like. Of course, now it's amazing. You can see graphics and it's like you're there. But there's a certain charm to this as well. So, you're in the East Dining Room. The large opening to the east leads to the garden patio. Like, okay, let's go out to the garden patio. You see it has to load it from the disk. Takes a second. So here we are. This is the garden patio. And actually, if you go upstairs, there's a balcony that overlooks the garden. Like, it's pretty creative. The fountain in the center. So let's go get the sword and let's do battle with that snake again and see if it's a little bit easier. He'll move a little bit slower this time, you'll notice. Takes me a second to load all this stuff because the disk drive has to do its thing, but again, that's part of the charm. So now the snake will come at us, but much, much more slowly. You'll see he's coming, but we got much more time. And you can see that I killed the snake much more easily and that it didn't strike me nearly as many times. So that's pretty cool. Let's go in the throne room and defeat. I think there's an ogre or a demon in there we can defeat. And that's almost impossible to do if you keep the CPU set to fast. So, alright, and then maybe we'll see if we can copy one more game in there. This is the central hall and the large spiral staircase in the middle. Like, I don't know. As a kid, I just loved to imagine what that might look like. Here's the anteroom. They were lined up, probably with waiting benches for awaiting an audience with the king, who is unfortunately long gone, and there's an angry demon in his place. You notice the demon strikes me still a few times, but it seems to work out okay. And I killed the demon. Oh, and I took the crown. So yeah, super fun. Alright, well, we're going to quit that for now. My score is 250. So it is fun to beat that game, though it just takes a little bit of time. I'm going to have this be a short video this week. So I found another game I want to copy over. It's the old version of Wheel of Fortune, but unfortunately I don't have enough space on this disk to add it on there, because as you can see there's 184,000 bytes free, which is 184 kilobytes. And as you can see from the Wheel of Fortune data here, it's already over that 184 kilobytes that are free on the disk. So I'm just going to format another one, because why not? And we'll put that on this disk so you get to hear the formatting sounds again. So I've got another disk ready to go here. I'll put it in the drive and we'll get it formatted. Really excited that these work. I figured they'd work, but I was just kind of concerned that they might have maybe only 180K, and so they wouldn't be, you know, quite as useful with a double-sided drive like this, but luckily worked out perfectly. Alright, so here we go. Let's format B. And we'll know pretty quickly if this one works, because it'll start counting up in cylinders until it gets to 40. Now, some of these disks did come pre-formatted, but I think Tandy was smart here because each system has its own format. So if I were to take this disk, say, in a Commodore computer, it actually should work, as long as I let the Commodore computer format it. It would only work on one side or the other. Or if I had it in a TRS-80 or any older computer, even if it was only single-sided, I'd have to format it in that machine first. I don't know if you can reformat a disk once it's already been formatted. I think you can only format it once for the first time. And then after that, it still has to be in that format. Even if you format it again, it just erases the data. But either way, pretty awesome. Gotta love those disk sounds. And it tells me that we have 362 bytes of total disk space. That's pretty amazing. Shows good workmanship on these disks because, you know, they've been sitting around forever, like I said, and they still work. So we're going to copy all of this directory for Wheel of Fortune to drive B, and we get to enjoy that amazing floppy sound again. Alright, and again, this is just for fun. Obviously I can play these games just fine off the hard disk, but you know, I just think it's nostalgic to play them off of the floppy. So let's see if they're all on there. Yep, and we didn't make this one bootable, that's fine, but that's pretty awesome. So now we only have 70 kilobytes free, or 70,000 bytes free, and to start this one we type in menu. So let's type in menu and enjoy. Here we go. We should get some nice PC speaker music and a little image of Vanna White dancing across the screen here. Let's see what happens. Maybe. There we go. Everybody sing along, you know the words. Oh wait, there aren't any words. But you know the tune. So good. And you can see share data 1987. Cool. All right, here we go. Let's do one player. Am I a returning champ? We'll just say no. All right. I don't know what it changes if you do that, actually. We'll just play this for a little bit. We're standing by. Again, this is part of the fun. We used to have to wait for everything to be configured, all the spin and wheel data, all the puzzle data. There we go. Okay, so we have free spin, loose turn, and bankrupt. And high value is 1,000 in this first round. So we'll just do a few spins and see what happens. And it shows you up here which letters you've used or not used. $400. All right, let's try T. Oh, no T's. All right, I guess Dave and Carlos are going to get a chance here. Oh, I should have done S. Come on, Dave, you're cheating. So fun. Lose turn. No? Okay. Of course, because, you know, the computer already knows the answer. I always used to say this when I was a kid. I'm like, it's cheating. So fun. All the memories. All right, Dave, are you going to give me another turn? Wow, Dave is on fire. Come on, Dave. Something burgers. Maybe. No, I don't think that works either. Well, okay, so that's definitely not it because there's a B right there. All right, well, there you have it. We actually unboxed, checked out, formatted, and even played games on these really cool classic 5 1/4 inch floppy disks. It's so cool to be able to mess around with these. And again, these are the actual floppy disks. They are really flexible. You don't want to bend them too much, but they are really floppy. A lot of people got confused with you know, the 3 1/2 inch discs, and they'd say, well, these aren't floppy. Well, yeah, but the older ones actually are. So pretty amazing, pretty nostalgic to use these, to hear the drive working, and yeah, just brings back a lot of great memories. So leave me a comment if you remember using these discs. There actually were 8-inch floppies that came even before these, so leave me a comment if you've used those before too. I actually never had any of those. This is the oldest type of disc that I ever used, but still pretty amazing to be able to use them today, and that they still work all these years later shows that Tandy did a great job manufacturing these. A lot of these old discs actually do fail over time, so these are great. So yeah, anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Definitely subscribe if you enjoyed, hit the like button, leave a comment, all the things, and let me know what you'd like to see in the next video. But that's all for now. So, enjoy that tech and keep it retro.